Hi, I'm Chef Raphael and welcome to today's episode. It's brought to you by Mary's Gold Pure Pishori Rice. Now I'm going to show you how to make a delicious rice dish. Remember the rice you're using is Pishori, so it's nice and flavorful. And I'm also showing you how to make a chili bean stew. It's basically mincemeat and beans, but and some chili, and it's really delicious. I hope you like it. Let's get started. Turn on the heat. It has a little bit of water. So when it's dry and hot, that's when you add the oil. Now you tend to add more oil when the pot is hot. When the pot is cold, because you'll think that the oil is not enough. But when the pot is hot, the oil like melts down or expands, and then you actually see the actual amount that you're adding. So it's always a good idea to do it when you have a hot pan or pot. When the pan is hot, and you also know the pan is hot when the oil is actually smoking, add the mincemeat. Now this is about 400 grams of mincemeat. And then this is what I want to cook first by breaking it into smaller lumps. And let it brown, start browning. And also what you don't want to do is to stir it immediately because you don't want it to start boiling. Though even if that happens, you can let the water evaporate and then add the onion and the garlic. But for me, what I try and do is let it become very hot, and then by the time I'm adding the meat already starts to cook and brown. And at this point, I'm actually going to add the chopped onion, because you also want to give the onion time for it to cook and brown. And that can happen while the meat is cooking. So I first add the garlic, the onion. The garlic we add a little bit later so that you don't want to overcook the garlic. Garlic tends to lose flavor if you put it too early in the cooking process. And because this is like a stew, I would say you add it towards just before you add the tomatoes. I will add some salt at this stage. And also the chili flakes. Now for it again to be called a chili, you need some actual chilies. If you don't like chili, you can skip the chili part. It's just that the chili, just the whole combination of mincemeat and the beans and the chili makes it really delicious. So now I'll wait for it to cook for about 2 to 3 minutes while it's covered, so that the meat, it's fully cooked on the inside. Fully cooked, it's not raw, and also the onion has time to start cooking and almost starting to brown. It looks really nice. Now what I want to do is to wait for the water to evaporate so that it starts drying up but I'll also add the garlic at this point. Before I add the tomatoes, I'll add the garlic and then let it dry and start browning. So at this stage also I'll start by adding the tomato paste. Now I have tomatoes and tomato paste. Now you can use either or. You can either use just the tomato paste or just the tomatoes, but I prefer having the combination of the two because both contribute in terms of the tomato flavor in a different way. So this is about 1 large tablespoon. Now with tomato paste, you want to add it before you're adding the other tomatoes because you want it to be dry. And then mix it into the meat. And then I'll add the rest of the tomatoes. And what I'm also doing is trying to make sure that the tomatoes go to the bottom of the pan so that they also have they have time to actually cook. At this stage, I'll add my red kidney beans. Now, kidney beans is what works best for this in terms of even color and appearance, but you can use whatever bean you have available. But I went for the kidney bean that is already cooked. But make sure when you're cooking it, if you're going to cook it yourself, make sure it's not fully cooked in terms of it's mushy. It needs to be firm. And now I'll let it cook while covered for a few minutes until the tomatoes actually break down and release all their juices. I'll also add the rest. I had left a little bit of chili, and when I tasted it, it still needed a little bit more chili. So it's also a good idea to taste while you go so that you get the full flavor based on your taste. Now I'm adding some thyme, which is dried. You can also use fresh. This is just for extra flavor, and if you don't have this, you can also skip it. And then I will add water. So the idea now is to let the stew come to a simmer. I'll reduce the heat and let it cook gently for about 15 minutes. Rice is cooked. It's nice and smelly because it's Pishori. It has a rich aroma, and it goes perfectly well with the chili bean stew. So I'm just gonna serve it on top. This is like comfort food. So just put a generous amount of the stew together with the sauce, like that. And that's it. All you're left to do is dig in. And I'll actually have a taste. You can taste the meat. The minced meat also matters. No, whatever minced meat that you're having, make sure you have good quality meat. It's coming through very clearly as minced meat, and then there's the beans, and then the chili, and then it's all brought together by the rice. Now the rice with its Pishori Rice aroma and taste, this makes it a perfect dish. It's a mincemeat stew basically with the rice served with the salad, and I'm sure you love it. Whether for the kids, if you have kids, then you can reduce or just omit the chili, or use the same procedure. And at that point, I'll actually advise that you use herbs. Either rosemary or thyme will go very well with this dish. And I hope that's something new that you learned today. Remember, today's show is brought to you by Mary's Gold Pishori Rice. And when you get to buy yours, let me know in the comment section. If you need more information about it, I'll hook you up with the packers and let you know where you can get the rice. And until next time, goodbye.